You are listening to Product&Growth Show. How coronavirus craziness influenced the info business?
Stuck in Malaysia forever.
In Malaysia, not able to travel to Ukraine. Perfect. But it is what it is. Shit happened. That would be a good introduction. Hi everyone, this is the Product&Growth Show, and this is the first episode we are doing in English. And the reason for this is we are having an amazing guest, Alessio Pieroni, who is an Italian citizen working for Mindvalley, being stuck in Malaysia right now, not able to come to Ukraine for the growth marketing stage, which we had to postpone to October. Hi Alessio, how are you?
Hi, doing great. Stuck but happy, so it's all good.
Perfect. Basically, what we always do, we ask a guest to make a quick introduction. So it would be good if you introduce yourself and share with our audience who you are, what you do, what Mindvalley is.
Absolutely. So I'm Alessio, and I'm the head of marketing of Mindvalley. Mindvalley is the biggest personal growth education company in the world. And let's say that we cover different things that usually university doesn't cover. So we like to say that we cover the gaps that the education usually doesn't cover. So for example, education teach you about science, but doesn't teach you about nutrition. Education maybe make you study a lot, but doesn't teach you how to improve your memory or how to read faster. Education teach you so many things about science, math, or different things, but doesn't teach you how to make money, doesn't teach you how to be fit, doesn't teach you how to be happy, how to have great relationship. And that's exactly who we are. We are a different kind of education that complement the normal education system. And we do that by partnering with the best authors in the world in order to create the best quality course through our own tech platform. And we do that since the past 16 years. And I will say that we do that pretty successfully, as we have more than 100,000 of customers every single year. We reach more than 12 million people through all our different social media. And I've been lucky enough for managing the marketing team for the past year and a half, where I'm leading a team of 50 people across all the different disciplines of marketing. It's been a fun ride for sure. So happy to share some of the learning I got here.
Perfect. Did you say 16 years?
16 years, yes.
Oh my God. And have you always been in the company during these 16 years?
No.
When did you join?
Just the last 4 years, yeah. But I would say last 4 years has been the crazy ones, because we've been literally growing almost 50% year on year.
Jesus Christ.
So the kind of growth that we've had till now, it's like, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
What are the sources for growth?
Well, definitely online courses is the major one. And funny enough, and that's the topic that we're going to discuss today, webinar is the funnel that we are using to grow. And we've been scaling up on this webinar funnel for the past 3 years in a pretty crazy way. I will say that there are, I guess, very few companies in the world that has been able to scale up the business in the way in which we've been doing it through a webinar funnel. So I'm super happy to share all the learning I got into that.
What is the secret sauce of the webinars? Why are you successful and others are not?
The thing is that I believe that to become successful at webinars, you need to learn so much more about what a webinar is and differentiate yourself from the market. The reality is this, is like the internet is full of people doing webinars. And most of all of them are cranky, ugly, not beautiful. And as far as we see as Mindvalley, we truly believe that when people go back home, they have the choice between, should I watch Netflix or should I watch this webinar? And frankly, guys, the quality of entertainment that is out there, the quality of things that are out there, it's crazy. And if you want to actually make sure that people will watch your webinar instead of watching Netflix, you need to create an experience that is as cool as watching Netflix. And that has always been our inspiration. How can we take our webinar and transform it into what we call a masterclass? How can you create an experience that is so beautiful, so great, that people will say, why would I watch Netflix? I want to binge watch something that I learn something from it, rather than something that I don't learn anything. That's, I believe, the secret sauce. Thinking way beyond the simple funnel and thinking way more towards how can you compete with the best in the world.
By the way, if you are interested in Mindvalley as a company, we have another episode recorded with Lubas Lapai, which is a global event manager for Mindvalley. Please check out their description of this podcast. And if you speak Russian, please listen to this podcast as well. Anyways, coming back to the conversation. So how do you transform the experience? I mean, what are the steps? Do you have a playbook for that?
Absolutely. So what I would say that in general, the experience that we give for the webinar, it's unique, first of all, in terms of quality. So our webinars are never live, are recorded. And they are put together in a specific way that allow the user to go through a specific experience. The classic webinar that you will find online, it's literally a bunch of slides put together in which you don't either see the person. And let's speak frankly, that's boring.
Absolutely.
We don't want that. We don't want that. Like for us, we always have a specific set. And just to give you some example, like one of the last webinars we've been recording, we recorded it in New York. And the week before we were recording in the studio, Lady Gaga was shooting in the same studio their last music video. And that's exactly the thing, is like we want to go at that level. So we have professionals that are helping us in creating the perfect set. We have a great film team that is helping us on that. And then we create a fantastic experience. So we script this webinar for probably weeks and months. Actually, I arrived late to this interview because I was scripting a webinar. And that's also truly important, is really understanding what's going to happen through the entire flow of the webinar. What is the different things that we're going to bring the people on? How do we want to educate our audience? What are the things that they need to have as outcomes so that they come out with that? And that's something truly important for them. So yeah, I will say that definitely it's a lot of work. And probably some of the most passionately debates that we have inside the company are about webinars, and which angle to choose, which lesson to give, how do we switch and transform it then into the sales part. And that's truly, truly important. But once you elevate the entire experience, that's to me the secret sauce. Because once you do that, you go on a complete other level than the entire online education industry.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So basically, you've said 16 years. That's how the long company exists, and you've been with the company for the last 4 years. Is there a moment when the business was sure that the product market fit is happening? Like, did you guys feel that? Was there a momentum when you thought, okay, now it's time to scale?
It's very interesting. I will say that, Mindvalley started, it was like 2003 or 4, and 2003. And at that time, email marketing just started up, right? At the moment, creating a list was the big thing or something like that. So probably for the first 10 years, it was simple emails funnel that were leading to courses of different authors. And those courses were simply websites. And what truly happened in Mindvalley, I think that the year that kind of changed everything was about 2015. Because till 2015, Mindvalley was just a bunch of different websites from different authors, and we were selling their courses. But the reality is that we, as Mindvalley, weren't really proud of what we were selling. Like a lot of time, some of the authors we were selling, no one of us as employee was going through those courses.
Okay.
And we really didn't like what exactly was there. We were selling hundreds of courses. And sometimes it's like, okay, let's just do this author, let's try whatever. And there wasn't really that passion, that kind of level of details that I was speaking just right now. Because most of all the time, it was just like, okay, we know the formula, let's just launch it to the list, let's make some money and go. And that was the time in which we say, okay, we need to pivot the business. And the decision we took that year, and literally that was the first month that I joined the company, was kind of scary because we passed from 100 products, more than 100 products, to 20. And we say, the product that we will be selling from now on are going to be the best product in the world. and we want to be recognized as the best online education system in the world. And we started saying at the moment, it's like we want to be the Apple of education. We want to give that curated experience. Because let's speak frankly, if you go in online education, you have companies like Udemy that have thousands of courses. We'll never be able to compare with the depth that they have. But with the quality, that's where we compete. That's where we can go great. And at the same time, we didn't just cut the courses, we also transform our technology. Because another huge problem in the online education industry is that everyone buys courses, no one consumes them. So, funnily enough, and this...
That's what happens to me every time. I'm paying for so many courses, but I can count. I mean, I don't even know. Maybe I didn't finish more than 5. I mean, completed for 100%.
Here is the crazy stats in the online education industry. Just 8% of the courses bought are finished. 8%. It means 92% of people buying a course don't finish it.
Wow.
And it's crazy because
I can imagine how the data looks like for free courses
imagine it.
that people are opening due to coronavirus situation.
Yes.
So many hype around this. Everyone seems to be opening their
Exactly.
pre-recorded libraries.
Exactly. No, and that's crazy, right? So what we did at the time, we look into that and we're like, how can we make sure that we could change that? And what we did is that we introduced what we call Quest. And Quest is a proprietary technology that Mindvalley has that transform a bit the way in which people do courses. So the classic course is, open, you can go through it and you always buy and say, oh, one day I will do it. Our courses function differently. They function like classes in schools. It has a start date. So every course starts on a specific day. You go with that with a tribe and a community. And you can't binge watch the entire course. You can just watch it day by day. And this is because we want to create a sort of a habit of learning every single day. And we've been seeing amazing results. So our completion rate went up by 300% after that we implemented this Quest technology. And I believe that was definitely the moment in which we started finding the product market fit. Because when the user actually started consuming much more content, this content was very qualitative and they were actually finishing it and so getting a transformation. That was the moment in which they will come back. They will refer to other people. They will tell, and our brand will grow at the same time because we are delivering on our promise. So that's definitely, I believe, the moment of the product market fit.
You said the completion rate grew up to 300%, which means from 8 to 24, or?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice uplift.
Yeah, absolutely. And like being in personal growth, like our promise is transformation, right? If we don't transform life of people that buy our courses, then we're not really doing our job, right? So once you're able to have certain statistics like that, there is still a 75% of people that didn't finish it, right? So there is still a lot more to go, and ideally we want to bridge that gap. But it's really changing your business. Yeah.
Cool. Let's come back to the webinar. So I'm curious how to promote a webinar in 2020 with such a competition. Which channels do you use? Which channels are effective for your business? If you can give us some numbers, would be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely we found, as is very common in the online education industry, that advertising is the number one channel. And also here, I just come back to the same parallel that we were telling before, because when you say that you want to transform your webinar experience into a masterclass experience, and you want to compete against Netflix. So one of the first questions that we were asking ourselves was like, how does Netflix promote a new TV series? How does Netflix promote a movie? How does Netflix promote anything that they do? And the question that came in our mind was like, oh, it's very simple. Like the movie industry has been doing this for ages. They do trailers, right? And so what we did is like, why don't we try to do trailers of our masterclass? Why don't we try to actually copy what the movie industry is actually doing? And frankly enough, that's the thing that's been working better for us. Like creating trailers in terms of creatives of advertising, that has been game changing. Especially like on Facebook ads, is by far the number one creative that converts customers. And that's something that we're going super deep on understanding How can you create the best trailers for the best masterclass? And based on that, how can you actually make sure that more and more people will come at a cost that is much lower than what you would have with normal banners or basic creatives? So that has been working incredibly well for us. And the other thing is that obviously we see that, as everyone sees in the industry probably, that video advertising is the way to go. So for us, another huge growth that we've had in the last couple of years has been YouTube. YouTube for us was literally a channel in which we were spending $0 2 years ago. And right now, our YouTube channel is incredibly big. Like we literally passed in, almost 2 years now. Yeah, in 2 years, from 100K subscribers on YouTube to 1.5 million.
Wow. Wow.
And a lot of that has been driven also through so much advertising, so much content that we started to put out there that has been working also in the organic side for us. So it's been incredible growth.
So you're the company that is selling content, and you do have a lot of free content available on the web. Myself, I subscribe to Mindvalley podcasts on Spotify. I'm regularly watching videos on Mindvalley YouTube channel. So I'm curious, how do you decide which content goes to a free part, like an acquisition part, and which content should be locked under the paywall?
Well, that's a very interesting discussion, because there is also another level. It's not just free versus not free. Is there something that you give free but behind a user paywall that you need to be a user to do that? So it becomes even more complex when you put that into consideration. And I would say that between free and paid for us is very simple to understand, because paid is basically our quest, our courses, and whatever is outside is as simple as something that will just attract towards a masterclass. And what I will say is that in general, we all know that in marketing there is the rule of 7. That a lot of people are talking that is the rule of 9 or now, that any customer need to have at least 7 touch points with you before actually buying the product. And very frankly, for a business and a brand at the level of Mindvalley, we need to be everywhere. We need to produce at the best level content on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on podcasts, on everywhere. And so we clearly know also that there are people that listen a lot of podcasts, people that watch a lot of videos, people that read articles on our blog. So we just need to really be as open as possible towards that and see exactly a different thing. And the reality is also that a lot of time measuring the ROI of the thing that we do in all those different platforms become more and more difficult, because so many of them are not connecting between each other and then go. But it's clear for us that the more we put out great content, the more we see our conversion increasing and our fan base growing. So that's definitely the work that we're doing at the moment, and I would say that's working really well.
From the organizational side, how the content distribution works? Do you have a separate team running your YouTube channel, your podcasting business, and other channels? I mean, if you can give any tips to a content marketer who starts the content machine within their companies, please share a few.
Yeah, so I would say first I'll answer how we are structured, because I definitely think that if you start up, you shouldn't copy our structure because we're pretty advanced. So at the moment, we literally have an entire team of 5 people that are just devoted to video content creation. And this team work together with our product managers so that they can come up with different ideas of content for each product. And then we have a team that does the entire social distribution on podcasts, on videos, on social medias and everything. And they're really expert in the different areas in order to make sure that we can grow and scale. So I would say that definitely that's a pretty big structure. And as I told you, like I'm managing a team of 50 people at the moment. So it's definitely not something that every company could do. If I would need to give an advice to some content marketer that is starting, well, I would simply tell you to focus. Like one of the biggest problems that content marketers do in the beginning is that they try to do everything. Very frankly, if I will start Mindvalley from scratch right now, maybe I will focus just on YouTube because it's the number one channel for us. And probably I will just do that because to me it's better to be great at something than try to do everything and be great at nothing. So probably if I will start from scratch, I will just have a video person completely devoted in cutting and creating videos on YouTube, and maybe a YouTube optimization specialist that will try to do his best to scale up the channel. And then once you scale up the channel, use the channel to have people going to other channels. That's what probably I would do.
Yeah, I mean, did you experience any uplift because of the coronavirus? I'm just curious whether people started to meditate more because of the uncertainty happening in the world.
We didn't see an uplift. I will say that our business till now has not been super affected. There has been maybe some slight decrease, which I believe is normal in terms of panic and people not really understanding if to spend money or not. But some of the other things that we've been seeing with coronavirus, definitely the CPM, it's going down. CPC and CPL is still more or less same as before, even if it's slightly cheaper. And our funnels are pretty much working as it was working before. So I will say that that's been pretty cool. Actually, like the thing that has been a bit impacted a bit more till now is our warm campaign. So the people that are our fans and stuff, we have been seeing a bit more, a bit less results there. But I would say that is, I mean, personally, something that's not really worrying me that much. I also believe that this is a situation that obviously it was crazy, especially for the first 2 weeks for everyone. It's kind of crazy and no one knows how to react. But soon people will understand that this could be the normality probably for this year or so. So probably people will adapt in this situation. And I'm sure that when this will happen, like the business that has been, probably the online education will definitely go up because people will stay more at home, will want to do something with their life, change something. It's a great moment to reset themselves. I definitely see that the entire space will have a good boost because of that.
By the way, how much money do you usually spend for a masterclass you are recording to promote the webinar? I'm just curious which level, at which point of the budget you can actually compete with a company like Mindvalley if selling an informational product.
You know, it's a very difficult question to answer. We've been spending a lot of money in certain cases, and certain other we've been doing it in a very simple way, right? And it depends from so many things. Number one, it's the location. Like the one that I told you that we did in New York in that studio, it cost 5 times more what we do in the House of Vision, which is our founder, okay, with our internal team. And sometimes the one that you do in Vision House perform better, right? So it's really hard to say sometimes how much is the cost. What we like to say is that there are different kind of webinar that we can do and different kind of quality that we will want to put out from time to time. And we've been testing a lot on that. And one thing that we're doing is that, because obviously we're a business and we try also to optimize our costs. So we're trying to do as many webinars as possible in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia, because obviously also the expenses of doing a webinar here is much, much lower. But if I will tell you the costs, I will believe that probably the cheapest one, I mean, it's all done internally, the cheapest one. So probably the cost of the employees working around that might be, I don't know what, $5,000 for a month, something like that. And the biggest one probably could be, I don't know, 4 or 5 times more.
Not bad. I mean, you have to secure a budget to compete. But in terms of the funnel, once audience is attracted to the webinar, can you share your numbers on how the first funnel looks like?
Well, the funnel for us is pretty simple. You go through, you sign up for the webinar and you have 2 options. One that you watch directly, and another one is that you watch later. If you watch later, you will have what we call a show up sequence, which is reminder emails to make sure that you will show up to the webinar. And our show up rate right now, it's pretty good. I believe it's about 51% or something, which is definitely above industry standard. And then what we do is that you have the 1.5 hour masterclass. Usually how it works is that you have about 10 minutes that is introduction to the masterclass. You have about 45 minutes of content. And then you have the last 40 minutes that is the sales pitch, in which we sell, we answer questions, and we do everything. And 70% of our sales are made through the masterclass, people buying in the masterclass. And I believe that that's pretty huge. We still have a sales sequence after, in which we send email for about 7 days. And that's where about other 25% of our revenue are made. And then just about 5% of the revenue from these products are made after the 7 days finish.
Gotcha. And do you call them? I mean, do you have their phone numbers? Do you call them after or just email?
Just email, completely online. What I will say is that in general, in the online education space, there are two ways to do webinar. Webinar to check out, basically, the people buy directly, or webinar to call. What I will say is that I will definitely do webinar to call if I'm doing a webinar in which I'm selling something that costs probably more than $1,500. There are people that sell till $2,000, $2,500 directly to check out. I personally never tried because our price point is around $300 usually. But I will say that most probably, like if I would have a product that will go over $1,500, I will start to do with sales call. Yeah.
Gotcha. You mentioned the price tag, and I'm just curious how the lifetime value for the Mindvalley, for the typical Mindvalley customer looks like. I mean, do you cross-sell your products to your audience, or do you do something to?
We do.
Well, because from what I heard, you mentioned that their revenue is structured in the way where 70% of revenue comes out of the masterclass, and I'm curious how many of those revenue is coming out of your existing user base, and how much is from the rest.
Well, obviously the existing user base, I believe, still bring like probably 60% of the revenue, something like that, I will say. But what's really interesting is that last year we launched a product that to me it's one of the coolest, to me is the coolest product in the personal growth industry, which is our All Access Pass, which basically means that at a subscription that is like about $600 a year. So basically at the price of 2 courses, you get 25 courses. And frankly, the kind of quality that you get on that for what, $50 a month, it's insane. And we're always adding like about 10 products a year, which is great. It's an offer that I really don't see much there. And that's also a performance to try to transform the business towards a much more subscription business, making sure that you sell just once to your customer, and then the rest is about giving them pure value, pure learning, making sure that they can keep on growing. And as we were saying in the beginning of the call, if they keep getting transformed, then for sure they will renew. So that's a lot where we're trying to transform the business, which on a certain sense is about creating a Netflix for personal growth. And that's a lot more where we're going at the moment.
Perfect. That's a good analogy. A Netflix for personal growth.
Is it different to sell a subscription if compared against selling a single course?
Well, we've been selling a lot of different subscription, low price subscription, higher price subscription. So there is a lot of variation also based on pricing. The current subscription we are selling, we definitely see also different numbers. A lot more people are buying more directly. That's something that we see more, that they don't exactly need a webinar. It just makes sense much more for them to buy directly. So definitely that's something. When we've been trying to sell low price subscriptions, we've been seeing that webinar wasn't really working that well for that, especially when you have a subscription that costs like $7 a month or $100 a year. Those kind of subscription didn't really perform that well with a webinar model. So we've been trying out different other models, and most of the time was straight to sales page. And I will say that it's not super easy. It's not super easy to sell those kind of subscription because it's not easy to make back the money that you want. We usually try to make back all the money in the first 30 days. and it's not that easy to do it with a subscription, especially if you have a monthly plan. Like something that we have seen a lot in the industry is that everyone just moving towards annual plans and ARR, annual recurring revenues, because that's definitely the way to go if you want to be as profitable as possible there.
That's what Masterclass recently did. I was actually impressed with their price tag. They are selling their annual subscription for almost $200.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know. I mean, this is a recent switch. So there's definitely a movement towards annual subscriptions.
Yeah, I mean, Masterclass is doing a very great job on that. I know that actually they switched to subscription up, I think about a year and a half ago, and the level that they've been able to switch revenue from transaction to subscription has been crazy. I know that now 70 to 80% of their revenue come from subscription, which is huge if you think it, especially for a product that you launched like 1 year and a half ago. So they're definitely impressive in what they're doing.
Do you treat them like a competitor, or do you treat them like a player from a different market?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to call them a competitor. I mean, it's definitely someone that, like, because on a broad level, sure, they are a competitor. As Coursera is a competitor, as Udacity is a competitor, as Udemy is a competitor. But the reality is that very hardly someone will think, should I buy this from Mindvalley or from masterclass.com? Or very hardly someone will think, should I buy this Coursera course or this thing from Mindvalley? Like, it doesn't really happen because also the perception, the different things are very different. If I want to have an academic course, I know that I will go to Coursera. If I want to have a personal growth authors, I know I will go to Mindvalley. If I want to have something more artistic or thing, I know I will go to Masterclass. So I would say that in general, in the online education space, sure, they are competitors. But what I will believe is that in the mind of the customer, no customer really sees us as competitor in that sense.
Gotcha. By the way, I have finished one of Mindvalley's courses, which is the one run by Jim Quick.
Amazing.
Not sure if it is a recent one, which is about memory improvement and things like that.
Super brain,
right. And I really found out that it was useful to me.
Yeah.
But what I found also is that it seems like the entire industry of the online education is moving towards the Netflix model. So what they basically trying to do is to secure some of your screen time and make sure you're watching kind of their content instead of watching Netflix or playing Fortnite. So I'm just curious, how do you think the competition in this market will be structured in a year or two? Because it seems like a lot of venture money is flowed into the field, and a lot of companies are investing into really high level content.
That's true. And so let's say that definitely there is the entertainment business, right? The whole Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV Plus, I think is named Disney Plus, entered there as well. So there are tons of people in the entertainment space that are making the space very crowded. And I think that education, something is happening there also very interesting. And if you look like all the other companies that we were mentioning before, well, they are frankly, all of them very big funded by very big venture capitalists, right? And none of them is profitable.
And by the way, Mindvalley is still bootstrapped, right?
Yeah, we're completely bootstrapped. So obviously our growth maybe is not as comparable as that, right? But also if you look in terms of the revenue they make versus the revenue we make, it's crazy. But then if you compare the profit we make and the profit they make, it's also very different, right? Because none of them is profitable. Like no education company right now is profitable, and it's pretty crazy in this sense. So I don't know. I think that would be kind of very interesting, and will be interesting also to see what will happen during the recession period, right? Because it's definitely easier to raise funds in other period of the year, in other period of the economy. I think that will be interesting to see what will happen in this period. But I guess that probably in the next 5 years, someone will need to start to generate profit there, right? And it will be interesting to see how this switch will happen. and if there will be some specific models that will work better than others. So for now, everyone is betting very heavily in subscriptions. So that seems the way to go. But let's see exactly what will happen.
Interesting. I'm also curious how to treat competitors like Calm and Headspace and all of this who are playing in the meditation field, because it seems like even though it's not a direct competition against your courses, but they're kind of hunting for the same budget. So do you feel like a pressure from their side, or are they just a supplementary products to what you are doing?
So we do actually have a meditation app ourselves, which is named Omvana, and it's actually used to be in 2012 or 13 number one meditation app in the App Store, but right now we're kind of we moved on for years around that, and I believe that we missed a bit the train on the meditation apps. So right now we've been revamping it this year, and we're gonna relaunch it soon, completely new. And I believe it could be a very interesting competition to Calm and Headspace there. So on that level, they are direct competitors. But what I will say is that for the rest, sure, they are competitor in terms of portfolio and stuff, but at the same level, I believe that they speak a lot more to beginner level meditators. And the amazing things that they've been doing in the market has been that they literally made meditation very pop. It's very normal now to say, "Oh, I'm meditating." 5 years ago, you will be, "Oh my God, are you woohoo crazy? What's happening to you?" Right? So
that is so true. This is like 100% true.
it is. It's so true. But the interesting thing is that I believe that we operate on the level above. The people that are a bit more advanced meditator, they want to go deeper into their personal growth, education, and mindfulness, and that's exactly where we are. So I believe that the market is slightly different in that sense.
By the way, it seems like Mindvalley is one of those companies which managed to actually build a brand. So you can actually go to Mindvalley website and check their courses, when other companies seems like they're selling courses first. So selling using the brand of the person who is running the course. I'm curious if you have any tips on building a brand of educational company nowadays.
Well, I will say that in general, also another thing that we do very differently from our competitors is that we have a face. Like Calm and Space, even at Space that one single person does all the meditation still doesn't have a face, right? Even Coursera, Udemy, Masterclass, there is no one face, it's always about the authors. For us, it's different. Vision is definitely our CEO, our founder, the face of the business. And he's also the one that I believe that creating a lot of this brand, right? So I believe the Mindvalley doesn't have just the Mindvalley brand, also have the Vision brand. And the two are very interrelated. So it's a very interesting situation, which I believe it's very interesting for us. And it's an added value because so many people, let's speak frankly, they have confusion. The entire online education industry, personal growth, is also full of a lot of crap, frankly. A lot of courses that maybe are not the best or these things. And having a person that you trust, that bring in just the best, and that he put his face in front of it and saying, "I'm selling you this course because I truly believe that this course can change your life," it's very different from what a lot of the other online education industry is offering. So I definitely see this as a unique way to create a brand. And I think that for us has been very interesting.
Cool.
Speaking about the channels, what's on your to-do list in terms of trying? Like, what is the new channel that you'd be leveraging in 2020 that you haven't leveraged before?
So if I will say most probably the two channels. So okay, I'm gonna give you two answers. Okay. One answer is from a social perspective.
Okay.
And that answer is probably TikTok and LinkedIn for sure. Is the two platforms that are giving the biggest reach organically. And frankly, you can have on LinkedIn very easily 100,000 views on a video. Like I have it on my personal profile. If anyone want to follow me, Alessio Pieroni on LinkedIn. And on my personal profile, I easily have 100,000 views, 1 million views on my post. That is something that if you want to achieve...
Like 1 million?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you want to achieve something like that on Instagram, you literally will need to have, I don't know, 5 million followers, 10 million followers, unless your video goes viral in the Explore part. While LinkedIn and TikTok give a very big reach on that. Obviously, there are also special social media platforms because TikTok, we know, it's very young, and LinkedIn, we know, is very professional. But I believe that also both of them are becoming much more mainstream. So LinkedIn is becoming much more for everyone rather than just fully professional. Still a bit more professional, but everyone in a certain way is a professional. And on the other side, TikTok also is becoming definitely a bit more adult. Like a lot more adults are going there. So there will be evolution in the platform that I believe will be very interesting. And the other side, that is an answer that probably not a lot of people might give you, is the fact that social media is great, but a lot of time, things that happen on social stay on social. It's very difficult to convert from social to traffic and everything. So I think that's something that we're really looking much deeper right now. It's how can we bring more traffic? And the two social media platforms that we found that could be very interesting for that, and we want to go much deeper, is Pinterest and Reddit. So we are testing out a lot on that because both of them are actually platforms that if you perform in a good way, you could actually have some very interesting return in terms of traffic, especially Pinterest. We're seeing some early results that are very interesting.
Can you describe some of the tests you performed on Pinterest?
Yeah, so what I will say is that there we're working with some external consultants, and some of the major things there is focusing on the group boards. Okay, you know that on Pinterest you have the different group boards on specific topics that will repost your thing, and will be able to basically give you reach to people that you don't really have. And the interesting thing there is also that on Pinterest you will actually have per every single pin that you put a link. And so people click much more on those links, right? And the interesting thing is that a lot of people do that for blog posts, for podcasts, for videos in specific cases, and it's pretty interesting to understand how can you actually create a native pin for every other content that you make and use that as a distribution channel for that. So that's super interesting. And that's something that we've been seeing for a while, and especially in our space, mindfulness. Still, I will say that Pinterest is a very interesting channel. And if anyone is around fitness, cooking, recipes, anything that could be around this concept, even if you have a blog, Pinterest could still be working in a pretty good way.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. And just out of curiosity, you mentioned that it's really hard to bring out of social, and that's 100% true. And I'm curious whether you are working with influencers on social in order to increase your reach, or you're just skipping this, having vision and your famous instructors on board?
So we've been experimenting a bit with influencers, I will say not in a super profitable way. And being a bootstrap business for us is very important also to get a very good return. And I've been speaking also with a lot of other players in the online education business, and influencer has not been exactly the best strategy for online education. Everyone that has been using it, I've been saying that definitely it improved the reach and the brand and stuff. But if you look at, I invested $100,000 in an influencer campaign, I made back 50. That's kind of the numbers we usually are speaking about in that. Obviously, you also make it back in terms of exposure and in terms of other things and stuff. But if I'm looking at comparing it to advertising and money in, money out, that's something that we've never been able to have it. And unfortunately, being a bootstrap business, that counts a lot. So we were never able to expand it to the way in which we wanted.
Got it. All right, let's wrap it up. On a personal level, which Mindvalley course would you recommend to our audience?
Life book, absolutely. It's a course that make you study the different areas of your life and make you understand what are your right priorities and what you need to focus on to improve your life.
Cool. All right. Thanks for joining us today. And yeah, I mean, I actually visited Mindvalley office, and by speaking to you, I actually felt this level of vibe that I experienced when visited your office back in Kuala Lumpur. So hopefully this Corona craziness will be over soon, and we will be able to drink a few beers together, whether in Kiev or in Kuala Lumpur or wherever in the world. Thanks for joining us.
Hopefully in Kiev.
Definitely Kiev. So it's October. That's when we are waiting for you here to give a talk to our audience at the Growth Marketing Station.
Absolutely. I mean, I love Kiev. I've been in Ukraine last year for the first time, and I loved every single person there. So can't wait for that.
Cool. All right.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks for listening to us. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, and see you next Tuesday.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's a good one.